Okay, we saw in the previous session how to launch the script editor and how to select a script or to create a new script. We'll be using that obviously in the workshop. But let's look at the script editor in all of its gory details, because it's not just something you use to edit scripts with, although it is that, but it has a lot of controls about how the scripts are accessed, where they're accessed from, and those types of things. So let's jump into that, talking about the script editor. So we have portions of the script editor is what we're going to cover, and the first portion we're going to cover is the tree pane. And that is, you saw we clicked on HEC-DSSVue, or we highlighted that and then said File New to create a script. And so the tree pane is where it will list all of your scripts, and they will all be under the HEC-DSSVue folder. Why is there a folder? Why is there a scripts folder in a HEC-DSSVue? We'll talk about that later in this session, but for right now, you just know that that's where all the scripts are listed. Right now, we only show one script, and so that's the only script that we have. So that's the tree pane. When we talk about the tree pane, that's the one we're talking about. So let's go to the editor pane, and this is the business end of the script editor. This is the actual editor piece of the script editor. Now, it does have syntax highlighting. It doesn't have much other than that, as far as it's not a full-fledged IDE that you might find in something like VS Code or in IntelliJ IDEA or anything like that. It's not that sophisticated. If you're going to have hugely complex scripts, you might need more than just this script editor. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But for most scripts, this is completely usable. It's a good little editor, and so this is the place where you will do the typing, the cutting and pasting, or whatever you're doing to create your script. And again, you can see there, it shows you highlights the current line. It does syntax highlighting, and so it's good for that. So we said in the last session that you have to enter a label, and so we saw that we have to enter a label to create a script, and that becomes the name of the script. It also goes into the name of the script on disk, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the label is the text that will show up wherever you're going to access this script from, and so that's the name. Enter whatever name you want for this to be known as. There is another thing right here next to the label. It is the menu bar background color. I don't ever change this. I'm not going to put custom backgrounds on my menu bar for a particular script, but if you want to, you can click that and select a different color, and on the menu bar, if your script is on the menu bar, then it will have that background color for its menu item. Okay, the script file path. So you can't edit this. You can't choose where your script lives. DSSVue, HEC-DSSVue chooses that for you. But it does use the label as part of the script name. If you need to go, edit this file directly for some reason, or you just want to bring it up and, to copy it to send it to somebody else, there's where it lives, is in the script file path. And so it does show you where it is. It doesn't allow you to change where it is. Okay, so let's go to, we said, how do you access your script? There's 3 checkboxes here. So there's a checkbox that says Scripts Menu. There's a checkbox that says Show in the Script Selector. And there's a checkbox that says Display Script on Toolbar. And these are the different places that you can access your script from. So if it says Show in Scripts Menu, then on the HEC-DSSVue main window, under Scripts, the label name will show up in the list when you select that menu. And so you can select it from there. If you don't want your script accessible from that method, just uncheck Show in Scripts menu. The script selector we haven't covered, but what it is, it's just like you can say Tools Script Editor. Now bring up the script editor. You can say Tools Script Selector Default, and it will bring up a dialog that's nothing but a bunch of buttons with script names. If you want your script accessible from that location, click Show in Script Selector. If you don't want it accessible from there, uncheck that. And then finally, HEC-DSSVue allows you to have script names directly on the toolbar so that you don't have to go through the script selector or the scripts menu to get there. If you want your script to show up on the toolbar of HEC-DSSVue, click this. If you don't, unclick it. But those are the display controls, and those control how your script is accessed. If you turn all of those off, the only way you'll be able to access your script to run it is to run it from the script editor, because it won't be available anywhere else. It won't show up on the scripts menu. It won't show up on the toolbar. It won't show up in the script selector. So these toggle that. The next thing is text arguments. And if you're used to running scripts from the command line, you might think that this is just the command line arguments. You would be sadly mistaken. That's not how this works. But it does allow you to set one or more value, or set the values of one or more variables at runtime. So if you have a script that you want to run from the script editor and you want to test it with some particular values for a variable, you can put that information in here, and when you run the script, that variable will have the value that you have given it. And so that is a way to customize the running of the script from the script editor. Okay, the least used part of anything is the description, right? Who enters descriptions? Some people do. I normally do not. But if you want a description of your script, here is where you enter it. Now, if you do enter a description, it will show up as the tooltip anywhere the script label shows up. So in the scripts menu, on the toolbar, or in the script selector, in any of those places, if you hover your mouse over the script label and you have entered a description, the description will show up as the tooltip. So it does have a use. It is useful. I am just normally not one that does that. However, if you enter a description, you will notice that if you edit the script file with another editor, that the description shows up at the top of the file in comments. There will be comment lines at the top of the file that are not shown in the script editor, and they will include the description. Now, I didn't say this before. I should have said this when we were talking about the display controls. They also will show up at the top of the script file in comments. And so the script editor uses those comments to set those checkboxes and to fill in the description. And then it starts numbering the script from after those comments, the script lines from after those comments. So you don't see them here, but if you did edit the script file from an external editor, then you would see all of that information at the top of the file. Okay, description pane. So what do we have next? Let's go. So it's an optional description. Sorry, should have hit that, got that text on there before I talked about it. Okay, at the bottom we have action buttons. So we have an edit button, and it changes to edit mode. We know this script is in edit mode right now because the background is white. If a script is not in edit mode, its background is gray. So that's how you know visually by looking at the script editor whether your script is currently available to be edited or not. If it's not in edit mode, you can't make changes to it. It's just a safeguard to keep you from accidentally typing over something. So click Edit, or highlight the script name in the tree pane and click Edit, and it changes the background from gray to white, and you're now in edit mode. You can make changes to your script. There's a Save and Test button, and not surprisingly, that saves your script and executes it. I guess it could be called save and run, but since we're editing here, you might do this, time and time again. So we say you're testing it if you're running it from here. So it saves the script. It'll change it from the background from white to gray, and then it will execute the script. If you're not interested in executing it, but only want to save it, well, then you can just click the Save button. Although almost every time that you've made a change, you don't want to just save it, you actually want to test it as well. But if you don't, if you're making a change to a comment or something that doesn't affect the execution of the script, you can simply just say save. Okay, so if you click the OK button, it saves the script if it needs to be saved, and then it exits the script editor. So if you don't, if you're done, you're not going to do any more editing, and you want to close the script editor, you just say OK. And if the script needs to be saved, it'll save it, and then it'll dismiss the script editor dialog. If you want to abort or abandon any changes that you've made, then you can hit the Cancel button. And it also exits a script editor, but it does not save the script. It's interesting, though, what I have observed. I didn't know it did this, but what I have observed is if you hit Cancel, it doesn't save any changes to the file on disk. But the next time you open the script editor in with that script, those changes are still there. They have persisted in offline or on a cache or something. Now, if you exited HEC-DSSVue and got back in, I'm confident that those changes would not still be there then. But until you exit HEC-DSSVue, if you cancel and then re-edit the script, your changes will still be there. So there is that. Okay, so I mentioned up there, why do we have these folders in the tree pane? So let's talk about now some oddities of the script editor. We have some unused controls. So here are the unused controls. You see them highlighted here. The first one I'll mention is in the tree pane. We have this folder set up. The main reason that we have all of these things, they may have different shades of use and different things, but they're not used in HEC-DSSVue. However, the script editor as a dialog is used in more applications than only HEC-DSSVue. It is used in the SWM's CAVI. It is used in ResSim for different types of scripts, for standalone scripts, for scripted rules, for state variable scripts and such like that. And so in these different applications, these things that are unused in HEC-DSSVue have meaning in those contexts. And it's just, in DSSVue, you just ignore them. So we don't have a script set in DSSVue. We don't have any folders other than HEC-DSSVue. In the SWM's CAVI, the folders can be watersheds and modules and stuff like that. We don't set icons in HEC-DSSVue, so you don't have to worry about that. And the ellipsis, the three dots over to the right of the file name, it doesn't do anything in HEC-DSSVue. You can click that, but it doesn't do anything. So don't be distracted by, hey, what does this do? We know they're there. They have meaning in other applications, but for HEC-DSSVue, they don't give us any value, but we don't want you to get tripped up over them about why is this here? So we're describing why are they here. Using an external editor. The word of the day of using an external editor is be careful. I mentioned before that if you edited this file, and you have the file name up there of the script, if you edit this file with an external editor, and let's say it's VS Code or or some other programming editor. You'll see the comments at the top that you don't see here in this script editor. But you will also, if you edit it in an external editor and save it from there, if you do that and then start HEC-DSSVue, it will pick up the changes. However, if you are running HEC-DSSVue, and while it's running, you open an external editor and load the script file from disk, make changes, and save it back, HEC-DSSVue will not know that it has been changed. The best way to use an external editor while you have HEC-DSSVue open is simply to copy and paste between the HEC-DSSVue script editor pane and your external editor. And this works fine. You copy it out to your external editor, make whatever changes you want to make there because your editor is better at helping you do that. And then you copy all of that text and not, I mean, you can copy just your change, but it's easier just to copy everything. You do a Control A, Control A, Control C to copy all. And then you move it over to your external editor and do a Control A, Control V to paste it over everything that's there. And then you do the exact opposite of that once you're done with your edits to copy it back from your external editor back into the script editor and then do a save and test. That way HEC-DSSVue picks up the changes. So when we get the text up there that I just said, select all and then copy. And then you'd put it back over onto your external editor, paste it there, make any changes, copy all, and then paste all back over this. Yeah, using an external editor can be greatly beneficial depending on how complicated your script is. I do use VS Code and stuff with my script sometimes because it's I can make edits better. Say I'm making a global change. There's no way to make really a global change here within this, depending, especially if you're using sophisticated things like regular expressions and things like that. This editor just doesn't support it. So in situations like that, I would copy this out to VS Code in my case, make the changes I want to make with the facilities that editor gives me, and then copy that text back here. That way it gives you the best of both worlds. HEC-DSSVue is happy because it knows when the text has been changed, and your external editor is giving you all the sophistication you need to make the changes you want to make. So there's that. Executing scripts is next. We're done with this session. We'll come back and look at how to execute the scripts once we've edited them.